All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Welcome to another Reltio Community Show. My name is Chris Detzel, and today we have a special guest, Anthony Colichio. Did I say that right, Anthony?
It was great. Perfect.
Oh, good. I continue to try to say people's last names, and sometimes do really well, and sometimes I don't. But Anthony is a senior value engineer here at Reltio. The title is applying the Forrester TEI calculator to your enterprise. If we can go to the next screen. And, the rules of the show are the same rules they usually are, but keep yourself on mute. All questions can be asked in chat, or feel free to take yourself off mute to ask. And as usual, this show will be recorded and posted to the Reltio community. Next slide. So the upcoming shows, we actually have 3 more after this, and then we'll be done for the year. So today's show is applying the Forrester TEI calculator to your enterprise. We're going to skip the next 2 weeks after that, just because of the holidays. But then, one I know is super interesting, as well as how data steward analysts, business users can get the most out of the new Reltio UI. I think that switches over in February. And then we'll have more of a thought leadership piece on December 8th on emerging trends in data management. Then we'll go a little bit more technical on the 15th of December on building complex survivorship strategies in Reltio's data modeler. So really excited about these upcoming shows. So RSVP, I'll put the links in the chat here shortly. But I'm gonna hand it over to you, Anthony, to talk a little bit about Forrester's TEI calculator.
Sure. Well, why not? Well, first off, I'm happy to be here. I've been watching all these community shows. Love the community shows. I'm the senior value engineer here at Reltio. I help organizations maximize their investments. So even if you've never strategically aligned your execution to your brand goals within some business case framework, I'm happy to help. This is gonna be a very different type of show. Well, I don't know how this is gonna go, because I love watching all the mostly technical shows, but this one's different. So I extremely welcome your feedback. If you love it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. Welcome your feedback. There's no wrong feedback. And one thing to know about me is, I think most people think I'm like a people person extrovert who used to be a salesperson. I'm not. I'm a longtime developer and solution architect who loves to do math kind of quietly in the corner, and accidentally became a product manager at a financial services brand we all know and love. So that's a little secret about me, and I hope to learn more about all of you. And I see lots of familiar faces and customers here, so I'm very excited to have a friendly audience. So yeah, questions very welcome, feedback very welcome. Let's get this going. Gosh. So in Belgium, there were some city officials, and they asked their engineers, like, hey, we need some benches, we need some trash cans. And then instead of the engineers taking a step back, just taking a moment to think about why these city officials are asking for that. What do they hope to accomplish? How might they measure success? What do pedestrians really need? What are they trying to accomplish? The engineers delivered this delightful all-in-one trash seat tower where anyone who decides to sit on this seat gets just trash dumped down their back. So like it happens, doesn't it, as technologists? We're busy. We're missing the context. We're just humans. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But sometimes, boy, it does work out, doesn't it? I've delivered products and software and services where it worked out. And when I take a moment to reflect on why it worked out, it's because I understood the context. I understood what the city officials were asking me to do. I went to the park. I walked around as a pedestrian myself. I said, this is a beautiful tree. These are beautiful leaves. I think it'd be fun if we had a bench here. You could look around. You wouldn't even notice the tree, but be with it. You could watch the kids play. It works really well. And whenever I just kind of think about that, it's always about, did I understand what the city officials were asking me to do? Could I express the stories of a pedestrian? And when I do, it goes great. And when I don't, sometimes I deliver a giant tower of trash. So I wanted to take a moment to see where all of you were. If we could do a poll, or maybe just drop it in the chat. Yeah, Chris, I don't know how if that's, oh, we have a poll. Sweet. So we quantify and deliver the next most valuable or cheapest use case to our downstream information consumers. Pick never, rarely, sometimes, usually, or consistently. Press the submit button, and maybe this will work. Let's see what happens.
So it looks like the folks that took it, most of it is sometimes.
Sometimes. Hey, okay, good. Sometimes. Well,
There you
that's
go. There's the results. Can you see them?
I do. It's a big old
Great.
sometimes. Good. So we have no nevers. That's fantastic. We have no consistently. That's actually fantastic for this presentation as well. So let's see if I can bump everybody up to the next level over the course of the next hour, or at least get you thinking about how we could do a better job delivering that beautiful bench in the park to our technology and data consumers instead of that trash cower that sometimes we put out. Because when we do, it's great, isn't it? Like, we can really unlock a lot of value for our customers. Reltio is there as the tool to help, but really it's about operations and people, and putting Reltio with the right people and processes downstream to optimize and activate those insights. And there's lots of ways that we could quantify success: omnichannel engagement, sales efficacy, fraud detection. But I was at the Gartner conference a little while ago, and a CIO came up to me and we were talking about priorities, and he was like, "Everything, it's the enterprise platform." And I was like, "Well, if everything is the priority, then nothing is the priority, right?" So, let's decompose this a little bit and be a little more lean about our decisions. One of the best ways is sharing customer knowledge and lookalike modeling. So Forrester did this study on our behalf, where they met with our customers, did analysis. Hey, what's working? What's not? How do you measure success? And they produced a study, and you may have seen it. You can download it online. You could please browse through it, share it internally. It gives a synopsis based on something called a composite organization, and a composite organization is just the customers who participated within this study. You could see they're across all industries. They're doing all kinds of things with Reltio. So Forrester, and the Forrester people are brilliant, frankly. They induced the patterns. They surfaced all of this into a reusable mathematical formula, plus some qualified benefits, and said, well, there you go. If you're like this organization, then you may expect these benefits. And if not, well, we can share the mathematical model with you. And that's what they did. So that's online as well. And we're going to go through that. I'm going to do a little demo, see how that goes in a little bit, and show you how to apply it to your own business. First off, how do I do it? I use the calculator all the time myself. Whether I'm first researching a customer before I meet with any of you, and I've met with a number of you, and here's what I did. I did some public research, and I recommend you do it too. Put your organization's name and put investors after. Look for the investor presentation. It's very easy to read. Or maybe what your CEO is talking about, or maybe, I take what I find in that, I drop it in the calculator, see what it spits out, and I start to think and make kind of playful hypotheses like, well, if we did this, maybe you can make that money or save that money or mitigate those risks. My next step is I go make friends with the calculator. Hey, check it out. Look, I think if we did this, we could make more money or save more money. This is the most important piece of the whole puzzle. It's the people that matter the most, because as technologists, quite often, we don't have access to those people. We don't have access to that context. But if you show up with a little bit of research and ask a question, hey, maybe we can make more money if, maybe we could save some money if, there's a recession coming next year, it'd be good to profitably scale, wouldn't it? Let's do a thing together. Part 3 is then I tried to come up with about how much more money we could make or save with the calculator. The composite organization is based on having an organization of $15 billion revenue. So if your organization makes more than that, the value is probably absolutely higher and relatively lower. And then if your organization is less than $15 billion, the value is probably relatively higher and absolutely lower. I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, watch it on YouTube again, send me some questions in the chat. And here's one of the most important things. Quite often when I first show up into a customer account, they're expecting me to do this business case, do the analysis. Oh, they buy more, they want to do more. But I'm like, guys, it's actually like tangible. This is binding. You can like literally you can make a lot more money or save a lot more money by aligning use cases to this framework. And if you haven't seen the Manage Your Core Data as Products webinar on November 3rd with Venki, it was fantastic. This is like a lead into that. So I heard some questions on that last show. It was like, hey, how do we measure the quantifiable brand value of improvements in data quality? Well, welcome to the show. If you're wondering about how we can do that, we're about to get into it. Questions up until this point?
But our customers, are really across a wide range of industries. Some businesses are B2B, some are B2C, some have both. How do you tailor the calculator to these businesses, or is that something you're going to show?
Right. So I'll show some of that, but in general, it's important to note that the study was based on mostly customer mastering. So for any of you out there who are mastering suppliers or locations or patients or products or whatever you're doing, some of the benefits don't align quite precisely, and I'll go through which align more precisely than others. If you're like 80% of Reltio customers and you're mastering your end customers, whether in a B2B or B2C capacity, the math fits pretty neatly. So great question.
Thanks. That's it for now.
Oh, let's do a demo.
Demos are always good. So
yeah, well, depends how they go, I guess. I've been in pre-sales too. Sometimes these things go sideways. Let's check it out.
It happens.
So when you download the report, it's like based on the $15 billion organization, shows the benefits, shows the cost. This is the page, reltio.com/TEI. Just go there, check it out, press buttons, see what happens. If you scroll down a little bit, there's benefits by category, get your estimate. So it's like a DIY job. Yeah, I like to push the button. Last time I pushed the button, it goes to this screen. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of notes at the top. Please browse. But as technologists, I like to put numbers in and push buttons as fast as possible. So you can just skip to that if you want. Also, I'm struggling to see the chat. So Chris, if there's anything in the chat, if I need to follow up on, please let me know right away. Great. So right, the basics. What's your organization's total annual revenue? Hopefully you know that, and if not, ask or Google it. Google, it's a good friend to have. So it started off at 15 billion. Let's say your organization is not as big. Put that in there. What percentage of revenue comes from selling to customers versus to customers/individuals, like individual human-to-human interaction versus B2B? I don't know, maybe let's say there's more. You'll notice every time you update the number, the value on the right changes. And each time, this is something called the net present value. You can kind of think about it is the value, how much more money you'll make or save, rationalized over the term of an investment. An investment's 3 years usually, so that's the value over the 3 years in dollars. And then compared to common costs, you divide, frankly, the value by the cost. You get the investment, the ROI. So it's about a 4x return. So that's the numbers here on the right. So like in your mind, I want you to kind of be thinking about, as data quality goes up and down over the course of 3 years, as data completeness goes up and down over the course of 3 years, as data performance goes up and down over the course of 3 years, it has quantifiable, measurable business impact that can be expressed in dollars or euros or Bitcoin or whatever, but sure, in some currency. So, and we as technologists in the MDM space are actually a lot more powerful than we imagine. And we'll go through some of the numbers as we go. But if you're ever wondering, like, what does a 1% incremental increase in data quality mean for my business? We can use this calculator to kind of tinker with it. So, you know, maybe these end customers don't spend as much as that customer of Reltio. You know, how many service requests? Maybe we get lots of calls every year. And these I even think of, yeah, right, calls, live chats, messaging. If your organization is doing a lot of inbound interaction volume, especially for real-time synchronous interactions, like a phone call or a chat, yes, data performance, completeness, and quality absolutely matter in fundamental ways. What is the average call duration? You know, maybe you have a complicated product or something. It takes 10 minutes a call. If you're confused, why don't you just, you know, call yourself? I do that all the time. I call customers to chat with the agents. How many data stewards do you have? This one is maybe not so much pertinent for this audience because you're already probably using Reltio. But yes, for new prospects considering Reltio, this is probably more for them because you can drive lots of efficiency with people processes. This one's interesting. Estimate the percentage of customer data that has significant quality issues. So yeah, you know, the benchmark they found across the customers who first showed up to Reltio at about 3%, measured as incorrectly analyzed customer activity disposition was about 3%. If your organization is doing great, you know, lower that number. If it's doing poorly or for certain types of data, you know, enter that number. And then what's the annual savings for existing MDM solution? Again, more for prospective Reltio customers. But if you can identify any other, sometimes our customers eliminate other technologies within their stack with Reltio. If you know the value of that, go ahead and stick that in there. And then it kind of spits out the results as we go. The result on its face may only be interesting really to you know, your C-suite, but it's interesting for everyone because you can kind of dig into the results and start to play with them and do what-if statements that are really preface some experimentation that you can do with running your data platform as a product. You know, what if we delivered this? What if we delivered that? You know, for the call center, for the website, for whatever, you know, in a new report. This kind of helps prioritize where you should be spending your very precious time and resources, especially in the upcoming year. Questions so far?
See organizations encounter, you know, when they're putting together a business case like this, or, you know, for their existing MDM programs, you know, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's always people first, especially in MDM, because, you know, given the history of MDM, we kind of developed this throw it over the fence model. And even with organizations with burgeoning centers of excellence or more thoughtful, lean governance, it's still the people. Like, hey, you know, if your sales operations team is using bad data, like that actually makes a difference. You know, like we're actually not capitalizing the sales force. We're spending too much. We're not making it. Like connecting the dots is the hardest part, and it's usually people because of the history of MDM. I think so. This is a way to frame it, and if you can back it up with you know, a couple of small, minimally viable use cases to move the needle in the direction, and you do it, and they go, "Wow, we're actually," even if it doesn't completely work, at least there's a tie together between here's what we tried to accomplish, here's what we accomplished, and suddenly we're doing more scientific experimentation as opposed to some academic exercise in some silo. Other questions?
No, that was good. Not right now.
Let's see. So yeah, download the full results, push this button. You can download it as a PDF. You can share it with your friends and family. Hey, mom, look at this. But the way I like to do it, and the first time you go into this, you're like, wow, these are lots of numbers. I don't understand. Where does the Node.js start? I don't feel comfortable. Once you deal with your own feelings, like the people I see on this call are super smart. It's not going to actually take you much to adapt and think about, well, what are benefits? What are costs? And if you can do some basic math, basic arithmetic, not even really algebra, you're set to go. In fact, you'll find this is a lot simpler than you probably imagine in your mind. So I recommend go to reltio.com/TEI, stick some numbers in for your organization, even if you don't know or they're wrong, or just estimate. Stick them in there, see what it produces, and then noodle with it and go, wow, okay. I can increase operating profit due to improved data quality. That seemed, $2 million is not nothing. There's a breakdown. This was actually on the November 3rd call. There was a question about data quality and how do I align it? So it gives you the breakdown. So for anyone who doesn't want to see the details, but as technologists, we love the details, don't we? I've got my calculator handy in case anybody asks me a wonky question. It's the breakdown. So it's like, you told us that you make what is it, billion? 6 billion. Your potential customer value missed by the 5%, you said. The actual conversion due to the 10%. The additional gross revenue would be this. And if you look at how I read this is the metric. Easy enough. That's the value. And then it just says where the source is. Very important. So you told us. The TEI case study benchmark from customers like you is this. If you multiply these three things together, an additional gross revenue due to improved data quality is that. If your operating margin is that, and if you don't know what your operating margin is, you could ask or just Google it like, hey, I'm in pharmacy or whatever. What's my usual margin? It's a great place to start. You multiply it out. There's a risk adjustment, which is super important to understand. Risk adjustment, generally the way I do it in the field is if I know that the delivery and support organization have a lot of experience with delivering this use case within this market segment, the risk goes down. If it's something completely new, something that the people are not used to, the risk goes up. And I think 25% is a great place to start because it always makes the benefits look less and the cost looks higher, which is always a great place to start because over time those swap and then everybody's really happy.
Anthony,
so yes, sir.
Quick question. How would you measure the risk of negative PR due to a less than 3% data quality issue?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. I would go in and tinker with the tool. Start with a 3, then make it a 2, then make it a 1. I don't think it lets you do oh, you're saying like if data quality decreases over time. I think that's the question.
How would you measure the risk of negative PR due to a less than 3% data quality issue? So it's less than 3.
Yeah, stick it in the calculator. Go with a 2, a 1. Actually, try the range where you're at and then compare the numbers. So if you suspect that your data quality is decreasing over time, try it that way. Hopefully that makes sense.
You know what? Cameron said, how do you correlate negative PR to a data quality issue?
Oh, what's like I see. The negative PR to a data quality issue. Okay. So you're right. This is the positive outcome. If you improve your data quality over time, this is the positive outcome. I think that's the converse, or maybe the contrapositive of the negative thing happening. So one of the ways to do it is you stick in the current number, you stick in the target number, you subtract and go, if we don't do this, we are losing the difference starting right now. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep, it does. Thumbs up.
That was a great question. That was a fantastic question.
Another, do you have
Yeah.
something else to say about it? I have another
Oh, that's a
question.
really fantastic way to light a fire under your friends across the business. I can't tell you how many times in previous lives as a technologist I said, well, we don't have to do it. It's just that we won't make 1.38 million more dollars this year. It's cool with me. Like either way, I get paid. I'm gonna go on vacation this year. But if you guys don't want to do that, that's cool. Like that's a great way to light a fire. Like really,
You
it
used
is.
to,
Like yeah.
you used to do stand up, I think. And the comment there is exactly that's the secret sauce I've been working to achieve. Hopefully this helps, Cameron.
Yeah. And
Are
Cameron, hit
there
me up if Cameron, if you just want to chat or do a thing, just let me know. I'm here to help you, sir.
Definitely. I'll reach out to you.
Thank you.
are there benefits that our customers shared with Forrester Consulting that are part of the TEI study that are not part of this calculator?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Within the report itself, and don't discount these because a lot of times, especially our friends in the business make decisions about how they're feeling, which is okay. Some like it works out. There's lots of qualified stains of stories of pain beforehand and then happiness after. There was lack of scalability and agility. There's also lots of qualified benefits in this report, so please read through that. Also, as we stated at the top, like if you're mastering healthcare organizations, or you're just you're trying to produce a new medicinal product, or you're mastering investigators, if it's not this use case, lots of other value that's out there that even hasn't been qualified in this report.
Okay.
Other questions?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm going to do like a high level on each of these benefits. And then if you guys want me to drill down into one, like I just did on the operating profit, or you want to have more technical questions, which I may or may not understand, we can give that a go. So at a higher level, I generally think of increase of operating profit due to improved data quality let's talk about the mechanics. There's the underlying data quality, records good, records bad. And then the output, more money, less money. Like that's a pretty straightforward one. And it's a direct line between records good, records bad, and a human or an automated service at the end of the line, saving money. Increase in repurchase profit due to real-time data performance is a data performance mechanic. If I produce these data faster and they can be served faster with progressively decoupled applications within the solution, maybe in this case, like a website doing a direct call on the back end, if that performance is high, output is good, people buy more. This can actually be repurposed for a number of real-time downstream consuming systems. Like if you have an IVR or a mobile application or anything where there's like a human at the other end in a synchronous real-time or near real-time interaction, the quality of performance must be high to capitalize. And if you don't understand what that means, just think about a website loading. Like I want to buy this thing and it's loading. And it's, remember AOL back in the 90s or whatever, like, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, you don't have to be a value engineer to know the slower it loads, the less people convert, straight up. So in this case, yeah, that's pretty much that's almost precisely the case here. For this case, it was, getting their personal information to repurchase. So the higher that goes, the more people buy repurchase, you capitalize your customers as an asset portfolio. Improvement in first call resolution. There's lots of value with this. This is about actually data completeness. If an agent or call center system has the big picture of the person, the faster the call, the more you can self-service. The more people only call once instead of 2 or 3 times because they're really grumpy. This one's near and dear to my heart because I've developed so many interaction systems like this. Here's one that applies to every Reltio customer. it doesn't matter whether you're mastering locations or investigators. Being more efficient, you can have data stewards or systems engineers realize an innovation quotient. Like, hey, you remember all that stuff at the bottom of the backlog that we always wanted to get to? If we thoughtfully prioritized what we're doing, we can do that. We can run a greater efficiency than alternative solutions to the tune of, this is just the operational efficiency value of whatever it is, $1.6 million. But what's not really categorized here, quantified, is the innovation quotient. Go do that integration with that IoT thing. Wouldn't that be fun? Cost savings for getting rid of other systems. That's a very popular and easy one to understand. We got Reltio, we don't need that other thing. We save money. Great. Let's throw a party. Data management team efficiencies. This is one. FTR and DTR are really tied together. So FTR is all about the efficiency. I would say DTR is more about the innovation quotient, although it doesn't quantify like the value of that innovation that we're delivering as technologists.
Hey, Anthony.
Questions about this?
A comment and a question, but and Michael Terry says, maybe it's because I hang out with, data geeks all day, but I strongly believe that MDM initiatives help do job satisfaction and employee retention because it's easier to do their jobs.
Holy smokes, Mr. Terry, that was fantastic. That's a fantastic observation. I was with a customer a couple of weeks ago, and they explicitly called out, this was with a Reltio prospect. They said, going into 2023, we have some serious challenges with human resources. It turns out in 2023, it looks like the workforce is getting really small and we're having to pay a lot more. And having happy employees versus grumpy employees is absolutely fundamental to profitably scaling next year. So you are absolutely 100% right. These numbers with reassignment of data stewards and data management team efficiencies are ways to quantify data geek satisfaction in dollars. That is absolutely very profound. Yes, that's exactly how that conversation went. That's a fantastic point.
So on that note, that's pretty funny, but what do organizations that do a good job of quantifying the value of MDM programs do effectively? Are there best practices that you can think of?
Yes, and like this leads right into Venki's talk track about managing data platforms as a product. I highly recommend go tinker with this. Think about, just pick one benefit. I don't care which one. Pick one benefit that applies to you, that makes your life better, makes somebody at your organization better, and then watch that webinar and start to tie the dots together. Because when I walk in, I would say, there was a recent customer who signed up. I would say maybe 5 to 10% of customers, current customers and prospective customers, are like really humming. This particular woman who's running this program, like she's fantastic. Like she's on the ball. When it's going well, like there's the goals up front in dollars. It's like, we're going to make money, we're going to save money, we're going to mitigate risks. And then there's the prioritized use cases. We're going to do X, Y, and Z over this term, over that term, over that term. So here's the value, here's the value, here's the value. And then it gets to specifying the use case. Because when you put that horse in front of the cart, suddenly it's very clear. Like, oh, instead of boiling the data ocean, which is fun sometimes. I enjoy boiling the data ocean on the weekend, but wait a minute, we just need these data sources instead of the zillion data sources. We just need one activation channel, maybe one report, maybe one downstream system instead of a zillion of them. Let's do the little thing. Let's all feel good, give ourselves a pat on the back, probably a bonus and promotion or whatever, and then do the next thing. So for my customers who are really humming, maybe about 10% of you, that's what it feels like. What it looks like is like lean execution in a well-rationalized backlog with strong cross-functional stakeholder consensus. So it's a bunch of people going, we want to do that. And everybody goes, yeah, we're going to do that. And you do it and you measure success. Maybe it works out great. Maybe it works out not so great. But then you go on to the next thing based on that info. Science, it's cool. Other questions?
Have you shared this calculator with other customers?
All the time.
You have,
All the
what's
time.
the reaction to it, and what's kind of the feedback there?
Oh, yeah. So what usually happens is they go, "Wow, this is a lot. This is cool. I believe this one. I don't believe this one. I believe this one. This one doesn't make any sense." So it's like a basis of negotiation suddenly. And instead of just being nebulous value of MDM, suddenly it gets rephrased. They go, "Oh, we have a lot of problems in our call center. I never really took a moment to think about how having more complete data would help our agents." And I go, "Yeah, like maybe $9 million worth." And then we tune the numbers. So like this is never done in thoughtful product management. Like actually everything in the universe is never completed, right? It's just like the next thing. You can kind of go in and go, "Well, what are the number of contacts who follow up? Of those contacts, what's the percentage required where they call back because of some data issue?" And you start to refine the numbers, and suddenly it's like it really hits home. It's like, "Oh, wait a minute. We have a lot of inbound volume. We have a lot of people calling back. If we could just nudge this thing just a little bit with some more complete data, they won't call back as much, and we'll be saving $9.9 million over 3 years." Now, maybe it's more or less than that. But who cares really? Because oh no, it's just $3 or $4 million, right? Like, okay. And what's also not quantified here is those happy customers will do more business with you, and they'll tell their friends about how cool you are. So that's all not quantified within this as well.
Can you tweak the TEI calculator, the TEI case study values in the calculator?
Some of the that's a fantastic question, and the answer is no, not all of them, and that's what that is. But the way I usually do it, you could just do like a copy paste, and I stick it in a spreadsheet. So you're like 2 seconds away from spreadsheet happiness or misery, however you see it. But yeah, what's available is just those inputs that are listed here. Oops. Because it's a really good technical reason, like for the boundary logic, like it gets really wonky sometimes if you go over or below the customer benchmark limits. So no, sorry.
It's okay. That's all the questions for now.
Cool.
Unless anybody else wants to to ask, but anything else, Anthony?
No, that's the overview of go to reltio.com/TEI, stick in some numbers based on your research or what you know or what you think you know, noodle with the report, a little plug and play, see what happens, and try to tie that into what Venki was talking about a few weeks about managing your data platform as a product. Start to prioritize small use cases that could nudge your brand along, make and save a lot of money. That's the broad strokes.
Well, this is great. I really appreciate you coming on. And I did put the links to the calculator and to Venki's show into the chat. I will, this is being recorded, so I'll be sharing this out to everyone with the links and everything else so that you can get to this information. Hopefully this was helpful. We do want your feedback after the call, so feel free after the call, you'll get a pop-up from Zoom, asking you to take a quick survey to, your feedback is very important. As a matter of fact, some of the feedback I've received in the past about additional shows, I'm looking at getting some of those shows scheduled for next year, early next year, of course. But any thoughts, anyone? Questions? Hopefully you liked it. Cameron, thanks for participating. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Well, that's the end of the show. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to stay on for the next 2 minutes or less. But Anthony, thanks for coming on and sharing this information. So
pleasure was mine. Honest feedback is extremely welcome. I live off the feedback.
Right. It looks like we kind of have the same shirt and kind of both didn't shave today. So
yeah, we're living the community show life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was great. I really appreciate you doing that, and I think this is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Cameron. I'd like to thank Mr. Terry is still there. So yeah, hopefully
right.
it's useful to somebody. So.
Oh, it is. It is. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.